What's good? It's your boy Jay. That's me. Let's discuss Smackdown for July the 7th, 2023. A pretty decent show for the most part. I know people were upset that LA Knight wasn't on the show. He was on the pre-show and people had a fit. They blew a gasket. It is what it is. Look, I am a LA Knight fan as well. I'm a huge fan of LA Knight. I like his stuff. But Vince and Triple H are not fans of his. For whatever reason. I don't know why. But they're not fans of him. So right now, he has to deal with what he has to deal with. But I think whenever WWE decides to do releases, that's when I think that LA Knight will probably get a massive push, because it's time for WWE to release some talent. It's just time. It's time. That roster has become bloated, and it needs to get a massive trim. It needs to happen. It just needs to. And I think once that happens, then that's when we'll see the pushes of other talent that have been underutilized as of late. Remember, people have to realize, go back to 2019 when WWE had on its roster 200 talent. 200. Between Raw, Smackdown, and NXT. All three combined. You had 200 talent to write for. 200. That's insane. There is no way that a roster should have 200 people. No way. The max that a roster should have is at least no more than maybe 100. And that's pushing it. Even that's too much. But at least no more than 100. Across all three shows. I don't know. But it is what it is. But enough of talking about LA Knight. Let's go ahead and get into the show. I just wanted to mention that. But LA Knight will get his chance. He just has to just be patient and wait. His time will come. He will eventually get his push. Guaranteed. So, we kicked the show off with the Usos. So, Jimmy gets on the mic and says that the Usos are in your city. They go on about how people said that Roman could not be beat, but he was pinned at Money in the Bank. Paul Heyman, he interrupts. So, he comes out with Sikoa. Paul Heyman gets on the mic and says that he is Roman's defense counsel for the tribal court. And he's ready to show Defense Exhibit 1. But the Usos tell him to shut his mouth. Heyman says that the Usos can't tell him to shut up. Only one man in WWE can tell him to stop talking. Solo puts his arm over Heyman's chest. Heyman stops talking. So Solo then goes over in the corner by himself. He looks at the Usos, and then he goes back to Heyman. Everyone is surprised. Out comes Roman. So Roman comes out. He gets on the mic, and he calls on Madison Square Garden to acknowledge him. He says, yes, he got pinned. Yes, he did. But he's still tribal chief. Roman says Jay and Jimmy aren't tribal chiefs either. Jay says, yet. Roman says he didn't call his tribal court. It's not official. And Roman asks, who has the authority to call him out here? The Usos say Roman will not manipulate them this time. Jay says Roman can check out this video package and try to spin that. So we see a bunch of various clips of Roman being aggressive and insulting all the members of the Bloodline, including Paul Heyman. So that was great. There was a "you fucked up" chant right here. It was bleeped out, but I was able to audibly hear it the first time it happened, and that was great. And I figured they were going to do that anyway, because it is New York. So yeah, New York crowds can get like that. So yeah. Continuing on, Roman responded it by saying, "No, I didn't. No, I didn't." So Roman says that's not who he is. That's who he was forced to be. He didn't want to lower himself and do all that. He did it for Jimmy. He did it for Jey. He did it for Solo. He goes on about how he was in the main event before the Bloodline. They needed him, not the other way around. He's bent over backwards for the family. And now they compile his worst moments and embarrass him. While his kids are watching, his daughter is backstage. I think Roman's daughter is 14 now. I remember they had her in a Bray Wyatt segment years ago. I think that was maybe 2014. At that time, she was 7. So she's got to be at least 15, 16. So Roman says that he has his own family and he doesn't need to take care of the Usos family as well. So Roman has 5 kids. I'm like, damn. Roman says he doesn't need this in his life, the fame or anything. He's done. He doesn't want it. If the Usos want it, they can have it. So Roman drops the mic. Him and Jey face off. There's a goodbye chant that breaks out. Roman removes his red Lee and places it around Jey's neck. Everyone is shocked, including Paul Heyman. Roman then rips off his title belt and tosses it to the side for a pop. Reigns gets on his knees in front of Jey, preparing to acknowledge him. Jey places his hand on Roman's shoulder, and then out of nowhere, Roman gets a low blow. So Jimmy snaps while saying this. There's a big fight scene between Jimmy and Roman. So Solo comes in and makes a save. He hits a small spike on Jimmy. And then Solo picks up the lead. Roman stares up at Solo. He stands up. Solo hands it to Roman. Then Jey has a fight scene with both Roman and Solo. But Solo drops Jey with a Uranagi. Reigns knocks out Jimmy with a Superman punch. So then Roman throws Jimmy out to the floor into the steel steps. Solo takes apart the announce table. Jey attacks Roman, but Solo decks him. Solo holds Jey on the apron while Reigns yells in his face, saying, "You'll never be tribal chief as long as I'm around." So then Jimmy gets up slowly. Reigns hits him in the head with the belt. And he then beats the shit out of him some more with the belt. And then Roman throws Jimmy to the steel steps. And Solo has Jey pinned in the ropes, which is a really cool visual. And so Roman's just beating the shit out of Jimmy with the title belt. So Jey's able to fight free of that, and then this allows for him to make a little comeback for Roman, but then he is dropped by the Samoan Spike, that being Jey. Then Roman tells Solo to finish it, and then Solo hits the announce table, and that was it. I mean, it was a real long segment. This lasted about 20 minutes. So that's my only problem with this. This was far too long. If this was 3 hours, it's fine. But with it being 2 hours, no. They could have easily shortened all of this by about 10 minutes. You could have done all of this stuff in literally 10 minutes. You didn't need to do all this. So it was just a little bit too much. It was way too much fucking overkill. And that's the only issue that I have with it. And so we come back from commercial. So the medics put both the Usos on a stretcher and they put them into the ambulance. And Jimmy is driven away in the ambulance, and Jey rides with him. So that lasted a good, like I said, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, way too long. This should have been no longer than about 10 to 15 minutes. Anyway, it's fine, though. First match of the night, Sheamus versus Austin Theory for the United States Championship, for whatever random reason. So Pretty Deadly, they come out, they get involved. Austin Theory rolls up Sheamus for the 1, 2, 3. He retains his championship. Doesn't really matter. Moving on. Grayson Waller, he's up next. So Grayson Waller says that he's living the dream. He hasn't had a match yet, but here he is in the world's most famous arena. Grayson mentions how handsome he is, but tonight isn't about him. He says MSG has had some big moments, but none as big as what his guest will announce tonight. So Edge comes out to a really big pop. Waller then welcomes Edge and leaves him a seat. So Edge is fired up. He sits and speaks to the crowd, but Grayson interrupts and says, let's go to the big announcement. Edge brings up the 25th year anniversary of his career and says, we celebrate tonight or next month in Toronto. Grayson interrupts and asks why Edge is back. Edge says he's here for the fans. Edge says he'll get back to Waller, but for now he speaks to the fans about how they opened arms for him since the beginning. Edge goes on until Grayson interrupts. And then he spills the beans that Edge is retiring. Give it up for him. This is his last time in MSG. Edge then says that Grayson Waller was in the ring with John Cena last week and Edge this week. So someone must see something in him. Edge points to how Waller still hasn't had a match on the main roster yet. Edge says Grayson Waller is a doggy paddling into some deep water, and it's time to sink or swim. Edge says he's not retiring, and in fact, he spoke with the powers that be tonight, and he'll have a match. Edge then announces that Waller will be his opponent. So that's great. I do like that. Pretty good stuff there. I'm fine with it. Michael Cole then announces that Jimmy Uso is currently being evaluated by doctors, and they hope to have an update before the end of the show. Moving on, AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross. Kross, I think, got injured during a house show, if I'm not mistaken, that they mentioned that on commentary, or it was a story that they were doing before the start of the match that they mentioned on commentary. Anyway, the match was very short. It didn't last long. Scarlett tried to get involved. Mia Yim, a.k.a. Michin, made the save. AJ Styles wins with the phenomenal forearm. Not really going to matter. It was a nothing match. Who really cares? Who gives a shit? We'll probably end up getting a match later on down the line between the two. So we need like a rubber match. Hopefully we can do this at the go-home show for SummerSlam. I think that's what they'll probably end up doing versus just putting it on SummerSlam's card. I know that rumors have been speculating around that Triple H wants to have a smaller SummerSlam card, which makes sense. He wants the card to be, I think, at best 7 matches, which is fine. So, yeah, that would make a lot of sense. So, yeah, there's that. Anyway, post-match, AJ and Mia Yim, they stand tall. Moving on. So Asuka, she's up next. So she laughs and says no one's ready for Asuka. Bianca comes out and then they start to brawl. Then out comes Charlotte. And then the brawl intensifies. And then out comes Damage Control. Iyo attacks Asuka. But then Bayley comes in and helps her out as well. Iyo Sky was about to cash in, but Charlotte comes out and stops it. So it was a failed. There was no official cash in. Again, this is fine, not really all that important. So Asuka retrieves her title, and that was it. And I think for next week it's going to be Bianca versus Asuka next week. Again, I'm pretty sure that Iyo will probably be champion by SummerSlam. That's probably what they're going to go with. I think what they're going to end up going with for SummerSlam is going to be the triple threat. Bianca, Charlotte, and Asuka. They'll go with those three. Whoever wins that, Iyo will cash in, and that's how she'll win. So that's really what they're going to go with. You know, I despise triple threat matches, but it is what it is. Who gives a shit? You know, fuck it. And I do think that's what they'll end up doing. So I guarantee you that Iyo will be champion by SummerSlam. Guaranteed. And then you can tease the breakup from there. I know I've heard people online say that there might be a failed cash-in, but that's not going to really happen. You don't want to really do that with the women. You really don't. You just want to go ahead and just give a definitive winner. You don't want to do what you've been doing with the men. The men, you can take chances, but the females, no. Don't do it. Do not do it. No. Iyo needs this. Iyo needs this win, and I think Iyo would make a good champion, if we're being honest. The main event of the show, wrestling-wise, that being Edge versus Grayson Waller. Very good match. Solid match. I was kind of scared when it was towards the middle of the match where Edge did a powerbomb spot. I was kind of scared for that. But thankfully, Waller sold it well. So, towards the end of the match, Grayson Waller goes for the run-in stunner, which I hate. I fucking hate that move. Fucking hate it with a passion. Grayson Waller needs to come up with a better finish. He really does. I hate that finish. But Edge reversed that into a spear for the 1, 2, 3. And then post-match, Edge gets on the mic. And he says, "Hey, Waller, you swam." So that's pretty good. He got the nod there. I enjoyed that. I'm guessing they could run this back at SummerSlam, more than likely. I don't think you would want to leave Edge off of SummerSlam. That just would seem weird to me. Like, he's one of the guys that need to be at SummerSlam. He's one of the guys. You got to have him on the show. You got to. So this was Waller's first match in, 2.5 months, which is not good. This was a fine match, though. Fine match. Although I kind of wanted it to be like a no contest, but it is what it is. Edge still put over Grayson Waller in the end, so it doesn't really matter that much if we take things into account. Moving on. So, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, they're backstage with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman approaches and tells Roman that Jey Uso has returned to the building, and he's looking for Roman. Roman says Jey won't have to look long because he's going to be in the ring waiting. So Roman comes out again for the second time. Roman says he didn't like how this went the first time, so we're going to do it again. Roman calls on Madison Square Garden and all of New York to acknowledge him. Out comes Jey Uso. He comes through the crowd. Michael Cole says that Jimmy is still with doctors. Solo and Roman start looking around the arena. Jey comes through the crowd. He stares down Solo. And then they have a little brawl scene real quick, Solo and Jey. So Jey then gets the steel chair and starts whacking Solo. He also takes out range with the chair. So Solo intercepts the chair. Jey super kicks Solo. And Paul Heyman and Roman, they get out of Dodge. And Jey beats the ever-living shit out of Solo with the steel chair. Like 8 or 9 times he does it. Then he gets on the mic and says, "It's like that now. It's always been like that. You fools took Jimmy from me." Jey says Roman is looking at the judge, jury, and executioner right now. Jey says he's got to get Reigns. This is tribal combat now. Jey doesn't give a damn about no brothers or wise men. It's just him and Roman, one-on-one. Jey says Roman better accept his challenge so he can whoop Reigns' ass one more time. And then Jey tosses the mic. Roman looks on the stage, seething and staring back at Jey in the ring. And SmackDown goes off the air. So this was great. I enjoyed this right here. It makes perfect sense. This sets up the main event for SummerSlam. Roman versus Jey. Should be solid here. I'm fine with this. Obviously, we know Jey's not going to win. Roman needs to be present for all of the shows going forward to continue this. It does not just need to just be he accepts the challenge and then we see him at the go home show. No, this needs to be a continuation of shows that he's at to continue to progress the story moving forward. Overall, SmackDown was okay. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't like amazing. The Bloodline stuff was good, like it always is. Everything else was just there just to be there. I know people were upset. Well, why didn't they put so-and-so on the show? It's like, it doesn't matter. Again, why do you guys care about fucking matches and shit? Like, it's so damn annoying that you guys just want this fucking work rate bullshit. It doesn't work. Nobody wants to go to a wrestling show and see a 25, 30-minute who gives a shit match. That's not what wrestling is about. It's not. And people are like, well, there need to be other people featured on the show. Like, okay, who would you feature on this show? Outside of the Bloodline. Who? Who would you do? Who would you put in there? Who? The LWO? They're not doing jack shit. So, I don't know, man. I mean, the show itself overall was decent. We still need to build SmackDown's portion of SummerSlam. So we'll get there eventually. But, it is what it is. But overall, the show was decent for the most part. It was okay. But what did you guys think? Please hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe for my videos. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.